So just as a reminder of where we're heading on this little project. So here's the box with gable and how it flexes parametrically. We can look at it in plan view and move these reference planes around. The reference planes are in a project file, and we're looking, we're looking at a conceptual mass editor. And we've nested the box and the prism into a new conceptual mass. And then eventually we can place that conceptual mass in a project file and manipulate the prism in the box. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to open up a conceptual mass, and I'm going to place some reference planes. And I will set my aligned dimensions to make a center line again, and two reference planes disposed around that center line, and then this depth parameter. And then I'll make each of those into parameters. I'll call it D1. And make an instance and make another parameter. And I need a vertical dimension also. So I'm going to copy the base here, the level 1 up, and have a level 2 here. And a level 3, so the level 3 for the ridge and the level 2 for the eave. And I'll put dimension lines on each of those so that I can add parameter names to them. And I'll make them H1 and H2. And actually, since I use the same names as I did on the other ones, I'm capitalizing these just to make them appear a little bit different, because we're going to see both of them as we do the rest of this little exercise. And then, so I've got this sort of framework in my project file, or my conceptual mass file, and I'm going to load the box conceptual mass into the host conceptual mass, which is going to be the box with the prism. So I've got the box. I can select it, and I'll get stretch arrows on it. I can stretch it out and lock it to each of these reference planes so that the reference planes control the size of this box. So making sure I lock each one of them. And I can test it by dragging the reference plane around a little bit. Seems to work. Now I still need to lock the vertical aspects. So now actually a better way to do it is simply to associate the parameter. So I'm associating the box parameter with the parameter in the host host conceptual mass family. So the conceptual mass family has the capital H1, and the box has a lowercase h1. I associated the box H1 to the new family H1. So that's a way to have a host family control the value of a nested family. So that seems to work, and then we can move on to our next stage. And I'm going to get a level 2 plan here, and then I'm going to place the prism on the level 2. So I will go to my prism conceptual mass and load it into my new family conceptual mass, and I can place the prism on level 2. So So it's hosted on level 2. And then I can, as usual, lock its um, edges to the reference planes there. And this is very typical kind of Revit use, is that we lock everything to reference planes. We make heavy use of reference planes to control our model. And we use these locks to constrain things to the reference planes. So, so we can't move that one because it's pinned. We can move this one, and the prism changes size. We can look at it to make sure it's changing the way we expect it to. Zoom in here. And it looks good. And we can flex the model by moving these reference planes around to make sure it's working the way it's supposed to. Now this top one, we need to constrain the prism to have the same value as that H2. So I just associated those two parameters, and so basically the prism gets the dimension from level 2 and loads it into its that dimension value into the H1, and it changes properly. So so I'm going to save this because I've got a working box with a prism. I've got the conceptual mass of the Monopoly house.